So this takes place in 2012, back when I was a sophomore in community college and taking a class I thought would be easy credits, Theatrical Makeup 101. Spoiler alert, it was not. We weren't just doing eyeliner and blush. We were making faces look like they got run over by a tractor and left for dead in a swamp. Every Friday, we had to create something new and walk around campus with it. Why? No one knows. Maybe so our professor could see if people screamed. Maybe it was just free advertisement for the theater department. Whatever the reason, I leaned into it hard. One Friday, right before Halloween, we were learning trauma simulation, aka how to make someone look like they survived a horror movie. Or, in my case, didn't survive. While other students were gluing on a scratch or a cute little bruise, I decided to go full Walking Dead. I gave myself a gashed neck, torn lips, a broken nose, and a stomach wound so realistic it made my classmate drop their lunch. I staggered out of class, looking like the final boss in a zombie movie. Campus security pulled me aside and asked if I needed a medic. I told them, only if they can help with my GPA. They laughed, I think, or they were crying. Hard to tell with sunglasses. Now, normally I'd take off the makeup before heading home. But my dad, God bless this man, loved seeing my creepy creations. He treated each one like it was his kid's macaroni art from kindergarten. He'd brag to the neighbors, yeah, that's my child. Made their face look like it lost a fight with a blender. I'm so proud. So I left the blood and gore on. I looked like I'd been mugged by a werewolf. I walked in and he was like, "Yup, that's the one. That's the makeup that'll make the kids cry. Keep it on. Your niece and nephews are coming over after school." 2:45 p.m. Knock at the door. My time had come. I shuffled to the door, dragging one leg, groaning like an undead insurance salesman. I was fully committed. I threw the door open and, not my niece and nephews, two very wide-eyed Jehovah's Witnesses stood there with pamphlets in hand and holy terror in their hearts. I moaned, "Braha." They screamed. One dropped their pamphlet, the other dropped their bike. I didn't know humans could move that fast. It was like watching a church-sponsored episode of Cops. They flew down the sidewalk like they were auditioning for the next Fast and Furious. I just stood there, mid-zombie pose, confused. My brother's car rolled up with the kids. My dad was crying from laughing. The kids were dying. Not literally, thank God. And my brother just shook his head like this was somehow my fault. I tried to explain. He didn't want to hear it. The next week, I noticed something weird. Our house, it became a no-go zone. Jehovah's Witnesses would cross the street to avoid it. One even pointed and made the sign of the cross. But it didn't stop there. About a month later, I was home alone and heard a knock again. I peeked out the window. No bikes, no suits. So I answered the door like a normal human being. It was the mailman. He just stared at me. "You're the zombie kid." Apparently, word had spread. The neighborhood had dubbed me that horror freak. My dad thought it was hilarious. So did my drama teacher. She gave me extra credit. But it got worse. Halloween rolled around. My dad went all out decorating the house. Fake blood, strobe lights, a fog machine that made our porch look like a Silent Hill cutscene. And me? I did my best makeup job yet. I looked like a corpse that had a bad day at a construction site. Kids loved it. Parents, less so. One mom screamed, "What kind of satanic horror show is this?" and tried to pray over our mailbox. Another dad tried to fight me. I had to explain, "Sir, it's makeup." He said, "Then take it off before I knock it off." I pointed to the Happy Halloween banner. He yelled, "Jesus doesn't celebrate Halloween," and stormed off. My dad gave me a high five. A week later, someone posted a photo of our house to a local subreddit. The caption? "Haunted house or actual hell portal?" The comments were insane. Bro, I think I saw the devil wave at me. That kid should be in movies. I went to hand out a pamphlet and came back with PTSD. My dad printed the thread and put it on the fridge. Soon, I was a local legend. Kids would ride past on bikes, daring each other to knock on our door. Even the pizza guy left the box on the lawn and sprinted away like he was being chased by Satan himself. I tried to return to normal life, took a job at the mall, wore normal clothes, no gore. But one day, someone whispered, "That's the zombie guy," and the legend lived on. Even years later, if I go home, I still get side eyes from churchgoers. My dad? He still tells the story like it was his proudest parenting moment. So yeah, one bad day of creative makeup turned into years of legend, trauma, and one banned Jehovah's Witness list.
Today, we're diving into a painfully awkward but absolutely hysterical story inspired by real-life chaos at the doctor's office. You ever go in for a simple checkup and come out emotionally scarred for life? No? Buckle up. This story might make you cancel your next physical. So picture this. I'm 19, freshly done with high school, rocking that unearned adult confidence and ready to take on the world. Except for one thing, I haven't seen a doctor in years. My mom used to handle that, but now I'm a grown man. So, like a responsible adult, I Google closest doctor and book the first place that doesn't look like a haunted house. I show up to the clinic, trying to act like I know what I'm doing, even though I filled out the patient form using a pen I chewed the cap off of. The nurse calls me in, and everything's chill at first. You know the drill. Open your mouth, breathe in, breathe out. Look like you understand what a blood pressure cuff does. Then comes the part every guy dreads, the turn your head and cough maneuver. I always thought that was just a sitcom thing. Spoiler alert, it's not. It's very real. And it's even weirder when you realize you're making eye contact with a diploma on the wall that says prostate certified. Then the doctor says, "Let's get a urine sample." Cool, I think. Easiest part of the exam. Except no one ever tells you how weird it is to aim into a tiny cup when the stakes are high. It's like trying to pour soda into a shot glass while blindfolded during an earthquake. I come out of that bathroom feeling like a golden retriever who just brought back a stick. Proud, accomplished, a man. I hand it over like it's the Holy Grail. Fast forward a few hours, and I'm chilling at home, basking in my medical triumph, when the nurse calls. "Hi, we got your test results." Me, cool. So I'm basically a perfect specimen, right? Nurse, actually, there's something unusual. Me, instant sweat, like bad unusual. Nurse, we found an abnormal number of white blood cells in your urine. We're referring you to a urologist. Now, I don't know what white blood cells in urine means, but I Google it. Bad idea. According to the internet, I have everything from an infection to a cursed bladder to alien parasites. I start questioning every weird tingle I've ever felt since puberty. And of course, I think back to my cough-limited dating history. 2 girlfriends. Nothing serious. But suddenly, I'm convinced I've contracted some sort of rare jungle disease from a high school makeout session. A week later, I show up at the urologist's office feeling like I'm on death row. The waiting room is full of older dudes reading golf magazines like they're in on some terrible secret. And there I am, Babyface Johnson in gym shorts, about to get medically violated. The nurse calls me in, and I sit in that cold exam room, every muscle clenched. The urologist walks in, calm as a monk, and says, "We're going to do a bladder scope today." I blink. Like, a telescope? No, a tiny camera inserted into your urethra. Cue dramatic zoom in and violin screech. "Today?" I squeak. Yes, it's a quick procedure, nothing to worry about. That's easy for him to say. He's not the one getting a GoPro tour of his lower plumbing. They lay me down and prep the area, and by prep, I mean a 60-year-old nurse scrubs my junk with what looks like orange Gatorade and the enthusiasm of someone cleaning a crime scene. Then she says the words that haunt me to this day. We have a few student nurses observing today. Suddenly, I'm surrounded by 4 strangers who are about to learn more about me than my therapist knows. I try to play it cool, but nature has other plans. While she's cleaning, the combination of nerves, embarrassment, and physical stimulation betrays me. Yup, I salute. Full staff. Bona fide emergency. The nurse, without missing a beat, tosses a towel over it and says, "It's not the first time. Somewhere in the universe, my soul evaporates." They insert the scope, and let me tell you, it does not feel like a butterfly kiss. More like a flaming pipe cleaner. The whole time, I'm trying to breathe through the pain and the humiliation, praying to every god that exists that this is over soon. Finally, it ends. The doctor says everything looks fine. No issues. I nod, put on my pants, and walk out of that office like I just escaped a hostage situation. So what did we learn today, kids? Don't Google your symptoms. Always ask what a procedure involves before saying yes. If someone says student observers, run. And finally, sometimes staying healthy comes at a price, mostly your pride. Thanks for sticking around for this epic tale of awkwardness, accidental arousal, and bodily betrayal. If you laughed, cringed, or just feel a little better about your own embarrassing doctor stories, smash that like button. Drop a comment below, and for the love of all things decent, subscribe for more. Remember, stay funny, stay awkward, and if a nurse ever says it's not the first time, just know. Alright, so picture this. I'm a few months out of college, broke, confused about life, and experimenting with things like kombucha and nature walks, thinking I'm going to become some kind of enlightened woodland sage. Spoiler, I did not. But I did find something in the woods that haunts me to this day, not in a spooky way, more like in a what the hell kind of way. So, it's a random Saturday afternoon in Jersey. I'm armed with my thrift store hiking boots, a fanny pack filled with almonds, and enough bug spray to fumigate a small barn. I decide to walk one of these quiet forest trails near the highway. I figured, why not have a little existential crisis surrounded by trees and the faint sound of honking sedans? The trail's about as exciting as watching bread rise until about halfway through. That's when I see something poking out of the mud, off to the side of the path. At first I thought it was a flattened squirrel. I'm sorry, but roadkill camouflage is real. But no, upon closer inspection, it's a DVD case. And I know this because my brain went, "Oh, cool, a vintage artifact from the early 2000s. I wipe it off. It's absolutely caked in forest gunk. Mud, leaves, what I hope was tree sap. The cover's almost unreadable. At first glance, it looks like some kind of budget horror movie. But after a little more wiping, oh no, it's adult content. Yup, a full-on, wildly inappropriate for daylight DVD. Now keep in mind, I'm standing there in the woods, like some kind of morally conflicted raccoon holding forbidden treasure. Should I weave it? Should I take it? Is this pornographic littering? Is there a hotline for this? Of course, curiosity wins. I slide it into my fanny pack, right next to my almonds and questionable decisions. I get back home, toss my boots in the corner like I just returned from Mount Everest, and pop that DVD into my ancient player. You know, the one that sounds like a lawnmower starting up? Nothing. Nada. Zip. Disk error. Just the digital equivalent of a middle finger. Now, you'd think that's the end of it. But oh no. That disc became a conversation piece. I left it on the coffee table like an abstract art piece. My roommate thought it was a foreign film. My cousin thought it was a forgotten Bollywood musical. Ah yes, the classic tale of forbidden forest romance. The lusty Maharaja. I start wondering, who brings this into the woods? Was someone trying to summon forest spirits with adult content? Did a couple lose it during a very weird picnic? Maybe it was part of a scavenger hunt, organized by perverts. My friend Mike suggested the most absurd theory yet. Mike, mocking tone. Dude, maybe it's like cursed, like if you watch it, you get haunted by the ghost of a horny forest nymph. That did not help me sleep, thanks Mike. So, I try to go back to my normal routine. Work, groceries, regrettable Tinder swipes. But every now and then, I'd glance over at the DVD sitting on my shelf, like a woodland cryptid. It's like it was mocking me. I came to the forest for peace, but I left with questions, and a fungus-scented copy of Desi Desires 2. And then, here's where it gets weirder. My Aunt Gina visits one day. Super Catholic, believes yoga is a gateway to demon possession. She sees the DVD case and immediately starts praying in Latin. Aunt Gina, panicked voice, what is that? Is this a satanic Bollywood charm? I tell her it's an old movie I found in the woods. She asks if I've cleansed it, like it's been spiritually contaminated by tree spirits and shame. So I humor her. I put the DVD in a Ziploc, sprinkle some salt in it, and leave it in the freezer for 24 hours, like I'm defrosting a cursed Hot Pocket. To this day, I still have the DVD. I don't know why. It doesn't work. It's not valuable, but it's mine. And every time I walk into the woods now, I'm not looking for peace. I'm looking for the sequel. Because you never forget the time nature handed you adult content in biodegradable packaging. If you've ever found something weird in the woods, or you are the person who left that DVD there, please, for the love of all things confusing, drop a comment. I have questions. So many questions. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because clearly this forest saga isn't over.